All right, lads and lassies, we're live. God, I haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks. I've been a busy G. What can I say? I've been busy. There's been a lot of stuff going on, but I'm free tonight. I said, yes, let's do this. I have the thumbnail saved from a few days ago. Well, actually, about a week ago. Big up to Dan for making it. Now we're going to talk boxing. Because it's not just going to be, obviously, Wilder, Fury, AJ. We got to talk about the fights the weekend. I did see them. I watched them. I made sure to watch Nita Donaire. Love me some Nita Donaire. A hell of a fight. O'Ballet. I thought that would be a competitive fight. I thought that would go long. I thought Nita Donaire would win by stoppage, but I think I put him down to win in the 10th or the 11th. Didn't think he'd get rid of him that early. That was a hell of a fight. Nita Donaire, what a fighter. In terms of Deontay Wilder, that interview last night, I sat through about 5 minutes of it. I got the gist of what he was saying. It's just, yeah, it's Wilder being Wilder. I did find it funny that Malik Scott said he's 10 times more talented or 10 times a better fighter than Muhammad Ali. I mean, Jesus, you'll hear my thoughts on that tomorrow. Make no mistake about that. Yeah, make no mistake about that. But yeah, so this fight, right, AJ Fury, if and when it takes place, because God knows what's going to happen with this fight now. It's all up in the air. I'm starting to wonder, right? Will Eddie Hearn, or more so Eddie Hearn, will he be reluctant to work with Bob Arum in the future, given what's gone on with the making of this fight? Now, obviously, if Fury gets through Deontay Wilder, as we expect him to, and AJ gets through whoever, Eddie Hearn, obviously, from a business point of view, will know Bob Arum has Tyson Fury. That's the fight we want to make. But would he be reluctant to work with him for future fights, we'll say? So remember, he worked with him for Luke Campbell against Loma. And he's working him on other fights as well. Would he be reluctant to do it in the future? That's my thoughts on that. Big up to Limo every time. Thoughts on Devin Haney? Yeah, I caught Devin Haney's performance. I watched that fight yesterday morning, and Jorge Linares still has a good bit left in him. He still has a good. I genuinely, I knew Devin. I'd had a feeling Devin Haney would win on points, but Jorge Linares still has a lot more left in him than I thought he did. Now, depends on what your perception of Haney is. It's like I was watching Chris Andre, and me and him were on the same page with this. If you thought Devin Haney should have walked through Jorge Linares because he's one at the top in the division, then it wasn't a great performance. But if we still look at Devin, because he's only 22, if we still look at Devin Haney as someone improving, as someone up and coming, then as far as I'm concerned, that was a decent performance. He boxed very well. I think late on he tried to. I think with Devin Haney, I think his punching power it's not terrible, but it's definitely not as good as some of the other guys in the division. And I think what he tries to do is, if he really wants to try and get a guy out there, he knows he has to really load up. And I think when he does that, that's kind of when we see him get a bit more sloppy. And that shot that Linares landed, the short right hand at the end of the 10th, best believe if Devin Haney's lucky that was in the dying seconds of that 10th round, because if that had happened early on in the round, I'm telling you now, his legs were gone. I don't think he would have got through. I'm serious. I don't think he would have got through that fight. If that had happened, say, with a minute to go, Linares, although we've seen better days, he's still clinical on offense. Very good offensively. He's still a very good finisher. I think that if that had happened early on in that round, he would have been, because his legs were still gone and they were still pretty bad come the 11th round. So I think that if you had another minute where Jorge Linares would have bought time, and as well as that, it would have been good to see how Haney would have reacted, because at the end of the day, their box need to tick. Because if you look at someone like Canelo when he got rocked by Cotto, Miguel Cotto's brother, when he was 19, although he was rocked badly in that fight, look how calm Canelo was. It kind of shows that, all right, he's calm, he's hurt, but he's calm. He's not panicking. He's not letting that kind of fluster him. So for me, it would have been interesting to see. I genuinely, just looking at how he was in the 11th, I don't think he would have got through it personally. But we need to see what Devin Haney. Personally, I don't think Devin Haney beats Teofimo Lopez. Ryan Garcia makes a lot of mistakes too. Ryan Garcia makes an awful lot of mistakes too. I think Ryan Garcia against Haney is one I'd struggled to call. But with Teofimo Lopez, I think Teofimo Lopez, me and Big Dan, the guy who makes my thumbnails, we're both in agreement that we think that Teofimo Lopez against Devin Haney would be similar to Richard Comey. Well, maybe not as quick, but something similar where we could see just Devin Haney countering him. Or not Devin Haney, Teofimo countering with a big shot. and taking him out. But I think Teofimo Lopez at 135, for my money, he's gonna take some beating at that weight. It's really gonna be when he moves up in weight. That's what I think. And I think Ben, big up to Ben as well. I haven't got to any. Actually, I haven't shouted out anyone other than I have to get to them now in a sec. But yeah, I think that Tank again. We need to see with Tank. I'm always wondering what kind of Tank we're going to get because he's just so inconsistent. That's one thing about Haney that I have to say I do like, that he's a lot more consistent than Tank is with what he does outside of the ring. You know, with Tank Davis, I mean, it's just one thing after another with him. You know, it really is. And we need to see how that goes. I think this fight against Barros, in a way, I'm kind of looking forward to it. But in another way, I just think Barros is not he's more like a lightweight, you know. And I think they're really banking on some of them belts getting vacated at lightweight or at 140. And then they can just get Tank Davis elevated to a champion. I think that's kind of more what they're looking at, as opposed to going down like a Josh Taylor, you know, because who would you pick? Prograis over Tank Davis? I would. Would you pick Jose Zepeda over Tank Davis? Yeah, no, I would. I still would. Would you pick Ramirez? I probably would too. So maybe he's waiting to get a vacant belt at that weight. Your shout out to Nordic Warrior, bless up brothers and sisters. Praise to the Lord, Savior Jesus Christ, God bless. Big up to you, Nordic. Nordic Warrior has a good channel as well, so check him out if you haven't already. I think it will, G man. If you think about it, if they both KO their respective opponents, then it will be. Yeah, if they sell this fight right, I think that if they can get both guys through fights, which is no guarantee. I'm telling you now, people, it's no guarantee. It's heavyweight boxing. It's no guarantee both guys are getting through the guys. How does it feel to be shouted out by Hatman and being involved with Ade? Yeah, that was fun. That was kind of unexpected. Both of them were, to be honest with you. Do you know what was funny? You can call it whatever you want, but when I done that video about Eddie Hearn and Usyk, the one the Hatman showed me, I had a feeling something like that would happen with that video because I hadn't seen anyone touch on that yet, and I had a feeling someone would pick up on that. I don't know why, but that was just my generic thoughts on that. That like, there's obviously trying to stick a rematch claw in here, and something like that's going to happen. And Eddie Hearn, I think, is pretty much kind of hinted at it already, anyway. But it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Like, I've less than 500 subs off 5K. It's crazy how quick. I think this time last year I didn't even have 2,000. Like May this year has been my most successful month on YouTube in terms of views and in terms of subscribers. May last year, I got 20 subscribers in the month of May, and I got 10,000 views altogether. So this month, it's been well over 400 subs, and I think I've got like 80, 90,000 views, give or take. So it's been a lot. It's been crazy what's been happening. Thoughts on Dubois McGuigan link up and thoughts on the undercard. I haven't really, to be honest with you, I haven't really checked the undercard. That's this week. Let's have a look see on BoxRec who's on the undercard, because to be honest with you, I haven't really checked it. Daniel Dubois. I haven't really checked the undercard, to be honest with you, mate. I'll have a look at it briefly now. In terms of McGuigan, I think that's an excellent choice. In fact, Shane McGuigan would have been one of the trainers I would have looked at originally, him or Ben Davison, because I just think that Tibbs is good, but I think Ben Davison, or not Ben Davison, but I think that Shane McGuigan he'll be able to bring Dubois along well. I think he'll bring him along solidly. Tommy Fury's on this card. Oh, Jesus. I remember they had a 0-14 guy in to fight him. He's not fighting him now. Archie Sharp. Jury's still out on Archie Sharp. There's some performances where he's looked very good, and there's other performances where he's looked pretty poor. So Archie Sharp, we'll need to see how he gets on. Nathan Haney. Have I seen Nathan Haney? I probably have, but it doesn't ring any bells. I probably have seen Nathan Haney, but it just doesn't ring any bells. His name. There's an Irish guy here, and he has a proper Irish name, and I cannot pronounce it at all. I know the guy from Belfast. He's mixed. Is it Queven? It's a proper Irish name, and there are some Irish names I can pronounce, and there's others I really struggle with, and that's one of them. The guy from Belfast. He's actually looking good. He's a middleweight. He's looking to be a bit talented. So yes, and it's interesting. Like, there's names there that I'll keep an eye on, but to be honest with you, the only fight I'll be covering this Saturday, and I'm home this Saturday, so I'll definitely cover it, is Dubois versus Dinu. That's the only one I'll cover, to be honest. Shout out to E Machine. Wilder is an embarrassment. Yeah, Wilder talks an absolute bollocks. And do I watch YB? I've heard of him, but mate, I've honestly never seen him. I've heard of him, but never seen him. Yo, shout out to Limo every time. Big up to you, kid. And big up to Lee. What does Owen have to say here? I seen one of them lose the AJ Fury fight. Never happens. Don't say that, mate. But I can see it. You're right there. That could happen. Let's hope it doesn't. Big up to G man. Missed the lives. Yeah, man. Look, it's been busy. I've just been up to a lot of things. Going here, there, everywhere, pretty much. But no, I'm free tonight, so let's do it. Maybe might even do another one this week. Who knows? Big up to Ben. Hope you're well, sir. The nearest left hook. Do you know something? It does show that Naoya Inoue has a very good shin, because he took a couple of Nonito Donair's left hook. He took a monster right hand from Nonito Donair, and yeah, he was hurt, but he didn't go down. So it shows that Naoya Inoue, as well as punching power, he's got some decent whiskers. He definitely does, because Nonito Donair at bantamweight, maybe even because Inoue is a great puncher at bantamweight, he is, but I think Donair is more explosive at bantamweight. I think you'd even say maybe Nonito Donair, in terms of just sheer one-punch knockout power, is a bigger puncher at that weight than Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue just seems pure heavy-handed. He just seems an absolute heavy-handed monster of a fighter. Whereas Donair seems more just, if you get clipped bang on, you're done. With Donair, or with Inoue, yeah, he can knock you out with one shot as well, but he can wear you down at the same time, and he can wear you down to head and body. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch personally, but I think they'll be targeting the Rigondeaux Casemiro winner. I think that'd be in-house as well, because I don't know if Donair is signed with Al Heyman, but this was certainly on a PBC card. So they'll probably target that. And to be honest with you, if I think Casemiro is going to beat Rigondeaux, I think Rigondeaux, I love Rigondeaux, but I think he's finished. I think his legs are gone. And I think if he stands and trades with Casemiro, he's going to get knocked out. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that if you have Casemiro versus Donair, that fight's huge in the Philippines. Absolutely massive. And shout out to Penny every time at work. Big up. I hope I get you through the evening. Big up to Joe. I hope you're well, mate. I hope you're well. Happy Monday, all. Hope you're well. Big up to Joe Stunner every time. I hope you're keeping well, my friend. Call me a warrior, but I have a feeling either Fury lose or get badly injured in the upcoming fight. Yeah, I'm feeling the same. With Fury, it's the eye. I worry about that eye, because that eye could open up so quick. That, I'm telling you now, that eye could open up if it takes enough jabs off Wilder or a solid right. That eye is opening back up. So with Fury, I worry about that. With Fury, I worry about the eye. With AJ, he's never really been prone to getting injured too much. I know he had the knee injury last year, but that was just generic wear and tear, I think. I don't know. I don't see AJ getting injured, but depends who he's fighting, whether it be Usyk or whether it be... there's a heavyweight who turned pro during the last weekend. A heavyweight here in Ireland. I was talking to Boxing Squared about him, called Thomas Carty. He's a southpaw. He would resemble Usyk's style slightly. He'd move around a bit, and he could be quite elusive. And I've seen on Twitter that he's going out to spar Anthony Joshua in preparation for Joshua's next fight. So that could be hinting that they're looking at Alexander Usyk, because I've been in the same gym as Thomas Carty. I've done kind of speed sparring, like not full on contact sparring. Well, I've tried to hit him, but he's not hit me, and he's nothing like Dylan White. So he's a very slick mover, decent power there. So I reckon they could be looking at Usyk. I reckon just judging by the fact that he's a sparring partner, he's meant to be going over, I would imagine that they're looking at Usyk, because he's nothing like Dylan White. He's not a brawler, he's a boxer. Although Dylan White can box too, to be fair. Hearn to work with anyone to get him the cash. Yeah, well, Eddie Hearn has said in the past he won't work with drug treats. But, hey-ho, he's worked with Povetkin. He's worked with Dylan White. He's worked with drug treats in the past. So, Eddie Hearn will do anything to get the money. He will, actually, when I think about it. Teofimo Lopez is only 1 year older than Devin Haney. Yeah. You see, I was recording a WTF video last night, but it really went tits. It just, when you're not in the zone. So I'm going to reassess and redo it this at some stage. I have all the stuff I need, but I just couldn't get into it. And I didn't want to like upload a shitty video that I knew was shit. But I was looking at it, and it's a fighter who turned pro quite young and done a lot quite young. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, you know what, that whole age thing, like, it's like what Peter Fury says, Huey Fury's only, it's like, no, if you're ready, Wilfred Benitez was 17 when he won his first world title. So that whole age thing is just a number. It's just a thing. If you're talented and you're ready, you're good to go. The running clinch in the 12th was, yeah, I think Haney was, I think he was overexerting himself late on. He was boxing beautifully early on. He is a good boxer, Devin Haney. He's not as talented as a young Floyd Mayweather, though. You can see that's who he's trying to emulate. He's nowhere near as talented, but he is still a good fighter nonetheless. He's still very, very talented. I want to see the winner between Fulton Figueroa and Akhmadaliev. Can I be honest, mate? I think Fulton's the best in that division. And I think Conlan's mandatory for him. He's going to get absolutely bashed to pieces by Fulton. Seriously. Mick Conlan in his last fight told me all I needed to know about him. If I didn't already know it before, I knew it now. Mick Conlan at bantamweight or super bantamweight or featherweight is going to get smashed up. And if he moves down to bantamweight, even worse. Haney's big up to J-Deb, by the way. Haney's weakness is waiting to please fans. If he were to stick to boxing on the outside, stick and move, he'd be hard to beat. Exactly right. I think that's one thing about Devin Haney is that, and I think that's the thing about a lot of these young fighters coming through. They want to be seen as this, big, a beast of a guy, knocking guys out, laying people out. Whereas with Haney, being defensive, being cautious, that works for Devin Haney. Boxing at long range, being a bit negative, that works. And it's against someone like Ryan Garcia, if I had to put money, right, against Garcia versus Haney right now, I would, just based on what I've seen, I would, if I had to pick, I'd go with Haney on points. I know Garcia is the harder puncher. He definitely seems to be the more athletic, but Garcia makes a lot of mistakes in there. He really does. He bores with his chin in the air. There's defensive gaps there. And I think that if you're someone like Devin Haney, if you just keep it at long range, stick with your boxing. Devin Haney has very good speed as well. He's very good speed. I think that would be enough to get him through. I know they traded wins in the amateurs. And I think one of Garcia's wins was when they were very young. So you can't really take too much in. You can take something away from amateur fights, but when you're both kids, you don't really look at that. Devin was totally unresponsive in the corner after the big shot by Lopez. You mean Linares? If that was Lopez, because Lopez, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen, hits harder than Linares. So I think that would have really done some damage. A big up to Ra. Does Garcia have more? Oh, definitely machine, 100%. You can see with Garcia that there is natural power there. He doesn't need to. You see with Haney, you see the way his footwork are. You see the way he rotates. He's trying to get maximum velocity on the shots. Look at his last knockout. His last 3 fights have gone the distance. The fight before that, he got a nice 7-round knockout. But look how much he extended that run. Like that was like almost. You see the way someone in cricket throws. It was almost like that. He had to get maximum rotation, maximum extension on that shot in order to generate full power to be able to knock the guy out. And it landed bang on the chin. But with Ryan Garcia, with Teofimo, their power, you send is a lot more natural. They don't have to put as much effort into it. Obviously, technique plays a large part in it, but they seem to have more just natural, heavy-handed punch power. Haney's power might improve the older he gets, but I don't think he's ever going to be a Thomas Hearns, put it like that. Yeah, I think you're spot on, Joe. I think Haney beats Garcia too, but KO to Teofimo. You think you're spot on with that. I think you're absolutely spot on. I'd go with Haney to beat Ryan on points. It'd be a good fight, though. Don't get me wrong. It'd be a very competitive fight. But I'd go with that, and I definitely go with Teofimo. I'm struggling to see who beats Teofimo at 135. Seriously, I think possibly Lomachenko. But he needs to really work on his tactics. Like he started very slow in the first fight. I think Lomachenko possibly. Put it like this, right? If they fight 10 times, I think Devin Haney wins 7 and Lomachenko wins 3. That's just my opinion. I think Lomachenko could, or not Devin Haney, Teofimo. I think Lomachenko could, but other than that, I'm struggling here. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he looks against Kambosos. Kambosos is decent. He's not just going to fall over, but I'm definitely going with Teofimo Lopez. Definitely. Cotto would walk through Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Tank Davis. Yeah, I don't think Miguel Cotto ever fought at 135. But yeah, Miguel Cotto was an absolute beast. Between 140 to 147, he was an absolute beast. Does anyone know what happened to Hatman Cesar? I can't pronounce that name. He hasn't fought in over 6 months. So we see with the way things are now, man, it's some of these guys not straightforward to get them out as much, unfortunately. And I'll tell you what as well, we're only what? It's 30th now. So in a fortnight, we have Lewis Ritson versus that guy, that fella. What's his name? I forget the Argentinian guy's name. And literally, there is hardly any announcement on that card. There is hardly any fights been announced. There's only been one fight announced other than that. So Sky are going out with a whimper. Yeah, there's Cyrus Patterson. I seen him in the amateur get absolutely rinsed out in the World Series of Boxing. So we'll see how he goes. That was a bad. He was winning that fight in the World Series, and he got absolutely rinsed with a left hook. I remember that. It's on YouTube, actually. It was actually a decent scrap. I think it was in 3 rounds. Big up to Penny every time. Big up to her. What do you think of Ben Davison being in Haney's corner? Experience for Ben. I think Ben Davison, to me, he does have a good boxing brain. If there's one bit of criticism I have on Ben Davison, is that he's too happy to stick his nose into the limelight. And what I mean is that if there's anything that needs to be said, he's always the one saying it. You know, do you remember when he started training Tyson Fury? And then the build up to Sefer Safiri, Hatman made a video on it and just said, is Ben Davison a cheerleader? And Ben Davison responded to it. You know, you get the impression that he watches a lot of these videos. And I thought Hatman made valid points. And Ben Davison, I think, response was, well, if I was a bad trainer, would Fury have lost all this weight? And as Hatman correctly said, it's not about weight loss. It's about what you do from a boxing point of view. In terms of since then, it's been 3 years. He does have a good boxing brain. He seems to have a great understanding, and he does get his fighters to do the right things in there. You know, personally, I think that Ben Davison is a very good trainer. He needs a little bit more. He needs a little bit more work. I think people can be a bit harsh because they look at him having finished articles like Tyson Fury, like Billy Joe Saunders, like Josh Taylor. But we have Lee McGregor and Lee Woods on the up with Ben Davison. So we need to see. And I thought Lee Woods looked very good in his last fight under Ben Davison. So these guys will give us a bit more of a measuring stick on Ben Davison. I personally think he'll be a good trainer, personally. And I think that he will produce some good talent from scratch. He does seem to have a good understanding of things. I have a feeling there could be an Andy Ruiz incident with either man. Not sure who will get stopped. I think it could be Gypsy, the Gypsy King. I agree. I think one of them will lose. I don't. See, it depends. If AJ fights White, I don't really see an upset in that fight. But likewise, I don't see it with Fury. But that's why they're upsets, because you don't see them. I think with Fury, he's going to have a harder fight than he did the first time around, definitely. I'm 100% convinced about that. But in terms of Wilder winning, I just can't see it, man. I just can't see it. I could be wrong, but I don't know. Prav, big up the G, big up the same, big up G, man, big up the Prav. How about Nonito Donaires' latest win? A living legend, surefire Hall of Fame. The guy doesn't seem to age. He had an absolute war with Naoya Inoue the back end of 2019. Didn't fight 2020, and comes and produces a performance like that. He really is an Asian. Nonito Donaire. This is a guy who went in there, fought a prime Nicholas Walters at 126. Who was absolutely lethal at that weight. And I used to like Nicholas Walters until Lomachenko ruined his career pretty much. But to come down, back down to bantamweight, do what he's done, and go in there with guys who are in their prime, and to beat them, I mean, Nonito Donaire, just what more can you say? I always like Nonito Donaire. I think he's a great fighter. And, you know, I always try and be biased, but I was hoping he beat O'Bale because I really like Nonito Donaire. And O'Bale, I like him as well. He's a good fighter. Yeah, I seen that AA Boxing and Blunts, an undefeated light heavyweight according. I don't think that they're going to do that anymore. I think that fight got scrapped, but he was meant to fight. I think the guy's name was Andy Bishop, and he was 0-14. Absolutely ridiculous. And they're more interested in him versus what's the guy's name? Jake Paul, Logan Paul, one of those YouTubers, whoever the hell they are. I wasn't impressed by Haney at all against the shot Linares. It depends on what your perception was, though, mate. Like, if you're looking at him in terms of one of the best in the division, then no. But if you're looking at him as someone who's still up and coming, who was still in the prospect / contender stage, it was fine. As far as it was all right. It was fine. Why didn't the fourth? To be honest with you though, like, even if they don't get a guy who's 0-14, how much better is he going to be? Realistically, like, I mean, they've been matching. I wonder what it is about Tommy. They've been matching him very light, very light. But he has that. You see, Harley Ben, he's going on Love Island apparently, and Harley Ben seems like a really nice kid, but as a boxer, he just doesn't have it. And I mean that in the nice way. As a kid, he seems a really nice kid, but damn, that kid can't fight. I knew I suffered a broke in the fourth round and came back to the floor. And that body shot looked do you know one of those body shots where you wince? You really, when you saw that body shot he landed against the nair, you felt that body shot here. Holy shit! That I still have. Do you know what? One thing about that fight though that I always wonder. Nonito Donaire wears Everlasts. He always wears Everlast, but they made him wear winning gloves. I wonder if he had his Everlasts on, how much those shots would have affected. Because believe you me, there's a big difference between the Everlast Hook. I think they're the Hook and Pro, which they're not as soft as Power Locks, but they're not as bad as the MX. They're kind of right in the middle. And winning, we know, are very soft. I wonder what would have happened. Because genuinely do wonder. I wondered why he was in those winning gloves, because he never wears them. He always wears Everlasts. So I wonder if that was what they made him do in Japan when he was over there. Because best believe if gloves you're not comfy with, and winning, though, to be fair, they are quite comfy, but they're comfy as a training glove. You might not want to fight in them. I wonder if he had his Everlast, how much more effect those shots would have had. Because if I wanted to say, I would say those Hook and Pro, I think they're Elite Hook and Pro, they would be the same as kind of a rival RX Guerrero. They'd be kind of on par with them. An MX glove is like Reyes, but more comfy. They're like Reyes gloves are horrible gloves. They really are. If you've ever worn a pair of Clicto Reyes, you'll know they're a horrible glove to wear. They're uncomfy. They're tight around the knuckles. They're just not. I don't know. I don't think anyone really used them other than Pacquiao anymore. Do you think Taylor could beat Crawford? I wouldn't pick him, mate, personally, but I definitely think he'd give him a very hard time. I definitely do. I think he'd give him a very hard time. Oh, thoughts on Fight Camp? Good question. Kid Galahad versus Jazza Dickens. I can see that. Yeah. Are these confirmed, or are these just going to be you just playing with fire, tempting fate? Bill Smith versus McCarthy. That's a great fight, Bill Smith versus McCarthy. McCarthy under Pete Taylor has been looking fantastic. He really has. I think Pete Taylor is a great coach. And one more to be announced. I get the funny feeling they're going to announce Raven Chapman as a matchroom fighter now and put her on that card. I think she's been hitting at that. So I wonder will they get. If she is, I'll definitely get her back on to have a chat about that. How come Mark doesn't do live streams anymore? I know he's busy. I know he'd just be busy, mate. And I think that Mark, we all know what happened with the last one, the kind of stuff that went on. We don't need to go into that, but I think maybe Mark is just taking a break from the live. I think he's mainly focusing on videos now, just for the time being. I do miss Unrivals live streams. I enjoy that week where he did the live until you know what. That was good fun. Hopping on the panel, having a chat. D is holding it on over there, doing his. But yeah, that was fun. I think that's the main reason. I think he's just trying to and he's busy as well. So maybe he's just trying to let things, die down. And because I missed the live streams. I like his videos too, though, to be fair. Would Conlon beat the Nair? Not a whole. He would get lit up. He would get knocked into outer space. Mike Conlon would. By Anita the Nair. Big up to Steve and big up to G, man. What do you think of Jay Quigley goes after the Mosley? The middleweight division is stacked. Not sure what's next for him. Yeah, I actually picked him. I actually got that prediction spot on in the prediction league. I picked him to win on a majority decision, and he won in a majority decision. Do you know why? Because I knew he was better than Shane Mosley Jr., but not all that much. So I got that pick spot on to the T. In terms of where do I think he'll go, easy fight to make is him against Demetrius Andre. I think that Demetrius Andre probably stops Jay Quigley. I like Jay Quigley. He seems a cool guy, but I was even before he lost to Torrio Johnson, and Torrio Johnson's old as dirt at this stage, and he was old as dirt when he fought Jay Quigley. I never really saw a very good contender, but that's it. You know, in terms of the upper echelons of the middleweight division, him against Eubank's a competitive fight. He is trained by Andy Lee, is Jay Quigley, but Andy Lee couldn't have traveled. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I don't see him beating Demetrius Andre, but I could see him doing some work. You know, when he lost to name of the guy, Torrio Johnson, he was trained by Dominic Ingle. That was a match made in hell, if ever I saw one. The style just didn't blend. With Andy Lee, he seems to be improving a little bit, but we need to just give him a bit more time. You know, he started off quick with Andy Lee, 2 fights in 2020 before you know what hit. And I think this was his first fight back since January last year. So we need to see how he gets on. But yeah, I thought he'd beat Mosley Jr. because he's better than Mosley, but not all that much. And Mosley Jr. has never been that good anyway. Yeah, he lost years ago. Like he was losing early in his career. Yeah, I love seeing the age narrative. Yeah. I mean, I'll put it to you like this, right? I know people who are a couple of years younger than me, and to say they look older, they act older in terms of they can't even like they can barely run without coughing. At the end of the day, age is how you treat your body as well. Like a lot of it has to do with it like that. And the amount of people I've seen who they might be like I'm 27 and they might be 25, but they have the body of a 30-something-year-old. I mean, literally, that's how poor they've let themselves go. So it's all about how you keep yourself and you keep everything going. And Nathan Denaire, he's had some hard fights like the Inoue fight, but he's always kept himself well. He's never out of shape, and I think that with him, age is just a number with him. He seems like a bit like maybe something with the Philippines. Him and Pacquiao, the ageless warriors. Because Manny Pacquiao, although I'm not picking him to beat Spence, I definitely wouldn't be shocked if he pulled it off, even at 42. Carl Green, because someone leaked Jay Paul who mocked Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury's opponents read like a phone number. Oh man, it's terrible. It's shocking. Carl Green is the guy he's fighting. I've never heard of him. Thoughts on that? Literally, yeah. Undercard, Amateur Cyrus. Oh, are these on it? Is this confirmed? We're getting Babbage. Well, Babbage is interesting. I'll definitely watch that. Joe Laws, really? Oh, Jesus. Oh, yeah, I suppose it's in Newcastle. They would put him on it. Oh, Jesus. Cyrus Patterson. I've seen him in the amateurs. I've seen him get ironed out. But then again, that was in the World Series of Boxing. We need to see how he gets on. But yeah, Joe Laws, we'll see how that goes. But Alan Babbage I always like watching Alan Babbage. I always like watching Babbage. He's entertaining, but he's a bit like the guys they fed him to last year. To be fair, that was impressive. He got rid of Winters way quicker than Parker. He fought Officer KO'd Kennedy, and he did, well, what we all expected. He KO'd him. And then Tom Little. I think Winters did the best. Little just didn't know what to do. He was just overwhelmed. And Little seen much better days. In terms of KO'd Kennedy, well, the nickname says it all. I'm more worried for really. I'm the other way around, to be honest with you. I actually think if there's anyone to pull an upset, it's Usyk. AJ injured the nose. Yeah, that's probably that's the worst injury I think AJ's had in his career. Is the nose injury against Takam. He did break the nose against AJ, but I think it was way worse against Takam. That was bleeding quite bad early on. Fair play to Wallen. He rubbed his gloves, his glove lace into that cut and made it worse. Yeah, well, Lennox Lewis used to do that. Lennox Lewis, when he fought, who was it he fought? Was it, I forget the guy's name now. Gary Mason. Was it Gary Mason who he fought where he was targeting the eye? Big up to Dougie. British Boxing Board of Control Inspector. Big up to you, man. Every time. Do you think Inoue takes the same stuff Pacquiao did to run through the divisions, knocking out fighters at welterweight? Well, I remember an article from 2015. I think it was 2015. Yeah, it was 2015. It was just after he fought Omar Navarro, right? He injured his hand quite badly in that fight. He was out for a year. Now, there was an article, and I think it was in British. Well, it was. I think Frank Warren covered it. Well, one of the guys who were mates with Frank Warren, because Frank Warren alluded to it, and they were asking the question about Inoue. Well, this was when he was at 115. They were saying, was he struggling to make 115? And there's an interview with him, and if you Google it and type in Inoue weight loss 2015, I'm sure it'll come up. And he says that his wife is preparing all his meals with a secret ingredient, and it's helping him to make weight easier than ever. Now, make it out what you will. And that article is still there. I'm sure if you type in Naoya Inoue weight 2015, it'll come up. But make of that what you will. His wife is preparing his meals with a secret ingredient, and he's making weight easier than ever. Again, make of that whatever you will. Yeah, I mean, Manny Pacquiao could have fought Mikey Garcia, someone like that, but he chose to fight Errol Spence. I mean, Jesus, it's like that scene in South Park where Randy is carrying his balls. That's Manny Pacquiao in a nutshell. If he's could, it doesn't cost a penny, lads. If he's could, smash the like button. Your boy greatly appreciate it. We have 64 people in the building, only 25 likes. If he's could, it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost anything. You're helping your boy's channel grow. So if he's could, smash the like button. I'd appreciate that. Usyk has two options: take a flat out offer, and if you win, take a flat out fee, no right as champion, or fight Joyce for 100k and then call out other camps. You probably get more than 100k for Joyce, but I reckon they're going to dig their heels. And if they can't get the AJ fight, they'll try and get AJ stripped. Did you see show poor ability to the Philly shell, no footwork? Well, Mosley, yeah, I did see it. Mosley has always been very limited. He's always been a limited fighter. But with him, I had a feeling Quigley would win that fight. His footwork's never been amazing. His punch selection's never been great. His punch and power's never been great either. So Mosley, I was fairly sure Quigley would win that fight. He was just slightly better. Conlon is seen as a god in Ireland. It's crazy to me. I don't understand why half the time. Yeah, he's definitely bigged up a lot here. I don't know why. I think it's because we have so few people in Ireland to really get behind, that when we have one who has a bit of a name, people just jump on the bandwagon. I think that's what it is. You see, with me, I've always been, and I've got, as you know, I've been told by many people, in messages that you need to support your own. It's like, no, that's stupid. That's why you have these piss poor journalists who can never even get an interview with a British fighter because they shit on them all the time, and they big up the Irish fighters, and then they're asking for like, oh, can I get an interview? And the British fighter's like, no, you can't get an interview. You take the shit. You talk shit about me for all the time. I'm not talking about criticism, constructive criticism. I mean, I'm talking about literally on the verge of trolling some of these journalists are in Ireland. Like, that's how bad they are. That's how petty some of these are. Some of them are pathetic. They really are. And they big up Irish fighters if they can do no wrong. Whereas me, I say, I don't give a shit if you're Irish. Don't give a shit if you're British. Don't care where you're from. If you're good, you're good. If you're not, and I see things in you, in your style that I think you need to fix, I'm going to say it. I'm not just going to say, oh, he's from Dublin, he's perfect, or don't criticize him. No. And I've seen enough of Conlon to know that he's very negative, lacks punching power. There's a lot wrong with Conlon. And I think one of the things that he definitely needs to fix is he needs to get rid of Adam Boot, because that style is just not, he just doesn't have the athleticism nor the punching power to be able to pull that style off. He needs a more fundamental style. Maybe someone like Ingle might help Michael Conlon, to be honest, Dominic Ingle, because he likes to switch. I know that's something that they do and shit. Maybe someone like Ingle might help him, but Adam Boot, no. Garcia would beat Canelo in 5 years' time when he'd be 28, Canelo would be 36, just like EGG. I can't see Garcia going up that high though, because when Canelo was his age, he was still fighting at 154 pounds. Can't see it. So can't see that happen. No way. Did you see? No, man, I didn't see any of that. I didn't watch any of that, man. So Haney has a massive baseball. Yeah, he does. He does. He really does. But that doesn't have the power. That reminds me of Prescott whacking can, but without the power. Yeah, that's kind of Devin Haney in a nutshell. He really has to, like, if you look at Eubank Jr., a good example, Eubank Jr. is not the biggest puncher in the world, but look at him when he fought Avni Yildirim. Now, look at Eubank Jr.'s feet when he's trying to close the show. He is digging his heels into that canvas, trying to get maximum purchase, maximum velocity on them shots. Now, if you look at someone like a Canelo or a Triple G, if they were in that position, they wouldn't, like, and look at his feet, they're nearly sunk into the canvas. He is planting everything down, trying to get maximum power in those shots. Now, if it was the other way around, if it was, as I said, if it was the other way around, it was a different fighter. They wouldn't need to plant their feet as much. They wouldn't need to do what Eubank Jr. did in order to get maximum power in the shots. So you see it with guys who don't have as much pop. They need to do certain things different. And I encourage you, go back and look at the way his feet were in that third round. He was planting them into the canvas. And obviously he was able to get Yildirim out of there, but he really needed to plant it down. Davis, well, we need to see what division he sticks around at. When is Eddie going to announce what happens with the Zone and Sky? Well, I think he's pretty much done it. I think we'll probably get fight camp announcements straight after. Is that on screen? Because I got a super chat. I want to read that. Oh, big up to Prav. Big up for the £5. Appreciate it. Supporting the channel. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. A bottle of Echo Falls. There you go. Even though we can't get it here. That's a bottle of Echo Falls. You're a good man, G-Man. It has easy to answer everyone's question. Ade and Hatman big you up for a reason. Ah, man, appreciate that. I wish you all the best, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. Definitely. Absolutely big up for that. Wasn't impressed when I saw Haley the wrestler before the fight. A fat intruge and a bunch of cheerleaders. Haney's only 22, not mature enough to believe. Yeah, I think Haney. I do think he needs to have a look at the guys around him. I think he's too. He's one of those guys where he wants to show. He's all for show and he wants to impress and do this and do that. I think that's the problem with a lot of the guys nowadays. You know, they worry about the O, they worry about how they look. You have guys who all they want to do is go out and be like, you know, Deontay Wilder type guys where, you know, oh, my record is 15-0, 15 knockouts, and I'm a big puncher and all that. And yeah, I think that I think it's like that for a lot of them though. I think the one who's shown me the most is Tiafimo. He's probably the most mature, the most switched on, and, you know, for my money, the most talented is Wilder pregnant. Oh, man, seriously. Jesus. Oh man. Deontay Wilder is a strange man. He really is. I remember someone commented on the video I done today, and they said that how is Wilder dumb when he lives in an island? And what's your living like? How are you living, basically, is the words he used. And I was like, just because he has money doesn't mean he's smart. Or just because you have money doesn't mean you're happy. I mean, I'm perfectly happy with the way things are for me, and I don't need any money. You know, I'd sooner go take my missus out for chips than I would, you know, have a fucking couple of $100,000 and pussy in views, as Carl says. I'd sooner that. What was that say? Eddie Hearn said June for the broadcast announcement, then fight camp. Yeah, I reckon we're going to get the announcement probably imminent, probably either before the last show or probably just straight after the last show. I missed a load of chats. I'll go back and read them. Is D still going with the live stream? He is indeed, man. He is indeed. And shout out to D Jeff. Still waiting on an update. I know little Mateo, I know he's pretty much breeding on his own now. So it's a case of, the last time I heard from Gonzalo, he said that he's pretty much breeding on his own. So it's just it's just a waiting game now until when he can go home, hopefully soon. I can't wait for the little guy to go home and just start living his life. You know, the idea was to get 18 grand. We got over 19, and yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait, man. I can't wait till the little lad gets home, you know, because I've been giving money every week. A bit, I don't tell you the amount, but I've been giving every week just to make sure we have little Mateo on his way home. I hope so. I hope soon. What happened to Unrivaled, bro? Not all of us know. Can you elaborate? No, man, he's just been busy. I've been chatting with Mark. Mark's on these streams a lot of the time, and he's just busy. And I think he's happy to pump the videos out. I think he just wants to stick at that for a while. Maybe let kind of certain things blow over. I think we know what that is, and maybe just leave it like that. I think that's what he's trying to do. I like his streams. I love Mark's streams. I love joining as well. When he has them, so. Well, he'll come back and be doing some more live streams soon enough. I do miss the streams. They are fun, and he's been on D streams a lot lately. So I big up to D Jeff every time. Salute to D. Got a lot of time for D Jeff. Really is. He's given me some absolutely fantastic advice. Not for YouTube, just in general. And I OD an awful lot because the advice he gave me has really been doing wonders. Why does Hatman say there are no robberies in boxing? I agree with him on most, but no idea where to come to that conclusion. I think it's down to the personal perspective. I mean, he would define a robbery as someone clearly winning but not getting the decision. Yes, but there are fights where I think scoring the fights is subjective. So he looks at Callum Smith versus John Ryder, and he sees no issue with the decision. He sees an issue with the score and being so wide, but no issue. Whereas me, I say no. If you watch that fight and scored it the way I scored it, because I was looking at punches landed and just who was just the aggressor in there, there was only one winner as far as I was concerned. So for me, that fight was a robbery. And it was made all the more because the scorecards were so wide. Fights that we agree on are fights like Laborio Celeste versus James Mcdonald. If you've never seen that fight, that's a robbery. And that was a robbery where one guy clearly won. I mean, Laborio Celeste beat the crap out of Mcdonald. And not only did Mcdonald get the decision, but he got it wide on the scorecards, very wide. Like, that's a robbery. And Hatman would term that as a robbery. With me, there's a lot of fights where he would not consider robbery that I would, but there's other fights as well that we'd have people say robbery and you'd be like, no, that wasn't a robbery. That was a legit close fight. Like Ward Kovalev, that's not a robbery. I personally thought Ward won. If you've Kovalev winning, I don't mind. But you can't tell me that was robbery. It was a close fight. It was a very close competitive fight. Is Sky going to lose boxing because Eddie is signing with his own? I don't think they'll lose it. No, I don't think they'll give up on boxing for good. I think that it's going to be very niche moving forward, though. I definitely think it's going to be a very niche sport moving forward. I think that Sauerland will probably take over a lot of the shows on Sky, but in terms of, we're not going to be getting Sky shows probably monthly. We're going to be getting them very few and far between, I can imagine, moving forward. We've already seen Adam Smith's been commentating on darts. He's actually not bad at the darts commentating, to be fair. He's genuine. He's not bad at commentating on darts, in all fairness to him. I reckon that Adam Smith is going to go down that road. In terms of what will happen, I think it's just going to be very kind of select shows we're going to see. We're probably going to see, fights here and there, but we're not going to be. They're not going to bin it, but it's going to be very niche. I wouldn't be shocked if they open up to more promoters like, Mick Hennessy, Dave Colwell might try to go back to promote and stuff like that again. I reckon that's kind of what they're going to be doing. Personally. Yo, big up the Haitian Sensation Promotions. Salute to G-Man. Salute to you, my man. Big up to Randy. What's up, G-Man? I'm sick of hearing Fury Joshua. It ain't going to happen. Well, I had a spare thumbnail lying around and I said, I need something to talk about. Let's have a chat about this. But yeah, well, as I said, wake me up when we get there. Mr. S, there was a few people on charity stream who got greedy, started pushing their own narratives. The YTBC kicked. Yeah, that was a fun week leading up to that. We had some good fun, but after that, yeah, that was you know what. But look, the main thing is, I don't even think about that. That's just an afterthought. The main thing is we got our money raised for little Mateo and Gonzalo. So it's just a matter of time before he comes home. That's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned. Never mind what happened. That's just, don't even think about that. Main thing is we got it all good. Would Usyk have the punch volume advantage over AJ to get a points decision? You see, the problem with that, J. Dev, is I've seen guys on Matchroom shows significantly outland, still not get the decision against lesser guys. So don't know. If there's and you see, the thing is, I think as well that if AJ fights Usyk and AJ wins and it's a controversial decision, I wouldn't be shocked if WBO announce a rule a rematch. How far can Babbage go? I really do like Alan Babbage. I really do like him. I think he's fun to watch. He's entertaining. But when I watch him, I just think the minute you fight a good counterpuncher who's tall and rangy, he's going to light you up like a Christmas tree. And I like Alan. I really do. I think even before he knocked out KO Kennedy, I liked him. But when I saw Winters land early on in that fight, I was just like, he's gonna get countered to death when he moves up through the weight, like when he fights someone higher, higher level, a big guy, and I don't know, man. I like Alan Babbage, and I hope he proves me wrong. Roger Camel, hey, you're an imposter. He's the real Ainsley. You gotta love that avatar. Maybe I'll have a look. What other avatars do I have actually? Because I'll have a look. I haven't looked at some of these. All right. We'll run with this for a little bit. For the last 20 odd minutes, we'll run with Kella, Don Sauerland. Anyone who ducks Dylan White after fighting AJ ducks 3 civil partnerships July 24th. Jesus, man. I think if AJ can't get out of Usyk, well, AJ always runs the risk of losing his stamina if he goes for a kill. If he goes for a jugular, he needs rounds off. And if he does gas, Usyk is going to come on mighty, mighty, mighty strong. Mighty strong. Seen a comment there, and I'm thinking I might have missed a comment that I should have read, and I did, yeah. Timmy Neal, and big up to Timmy every time. Salute to you, my man. Of course. I always got to big you up, man. Always got to big you up. What else? Because I'm definitely missing. Sometimes I just miss some of these comments. They come through so fast sometimes. Match, we've got to announce new commentary. Eddie's saying they're listening to the fans. Well, he hasn't offered me a gig, so it's definitely not me. He hasn't offered me a gig yet. But it'd be interesting to see who he gets. He's not offered your boy anything. And I'm open, by the way. Just saying. Eddie, your boy's opened. Does Usyk have the power to drop and hurt AJ? Oh, 100%. People look at Usyk. Like, I keep saying, I've said it once, I'll say it again. What's your perception of Usyk? Like, what exactly is the perception you have of him at heavyweight? Do you think he's going to run through people? Because even a cruiserweight, he wasn't doing that. And the work he did against Chisora, I thought was very good. I thought he clearly outboxed him. He hurt Chisora several times. Me personally, I think he does have the power to hurt AJ. Definitely. Of course he does. In terms of whether he can get it or not, whether he'll be able to land it so consistently, I don't know. But he can definitely hurt AJ. Ade Oladipo probably going to get picked up by the zone. I hope he does, man. I hope he absolutely does. Like, I wish all my mates the best in anything they do, and I hope if they offer him, I hope he takes it. I really do. I wish Ade all the best in everything he does. I'd love to do something like that. Maybe not commentary, maybe just analyst or something like that, but I'd love it. If, honest to God, like if Eddie Hearn came to me, not Sky, I don't like Sky at all, but I'd be like, yep, happy. Like up to Nate, been following you for a min, G man. Love the breakdown and content. Appreciate that, man. I love hearing comments like that. Well, that's why I miss doing these live streams. Jesus. AJ and his the exemption for thing. I know, I remember that. I think he still has that. I don't think he was allowed that in the US as well. I'm not sure. I think that was only by the board. I think the board over here allowed it. G-Man and Ade could do a UK AK bracket show on the zone. G-Man and Ade on the zone. I'd have to use my real name. They couldn't just call me G-Man if it wasn't the zone. They'd have to use like my real name and then have G-Man in like in the middle. They'd have to do that. Every time I see Ade on Sky or Talk Sports, it makes me fan. YouTube guys like yourself. Yeah, man. It's a shame. Like Ade wanted me on Talksport last Wednesday, and it was just a shame I wasn't able to go on. I physically couldn't do it last Wednesday. I would have loved to have done it. Because I've been a guest on Talksport a few times, and it's like it's fun. It's just weird, you know. And the problem, I get like not nervous, but you have to kind of like we here. I can just be like, oh, that guy was shit the weekend, or that guy was crap, or something like that. But you have to kind of think what you say because you're on the radio and you're God knows how many people are listening to you, and you just be like, that performance was maybe less than stellar. You just kind of have to think a bit more about it. Oh, here we go with the usual. Have you been going on and on about your girlfriend being taller than Cara Frampton? No, I haven't. She is taller than Cara Frampton. Have you seen Frampton in real life to make a compare? I know she's taller because she's not much smaller than me, and I'm definitely taller. So I know she's not. I know she's definitely taller. The Barker guy got with Kate Abdul. Oh, no. Nelson got with the fucking, what was her name? Something Kirsty Gallagher. Yeah, Kate Abdul. Holy shit, she is. Oh boy, Kate Abdul is something else. Kate Abdul. There's a lot of nice ones in boxing. There really is. Kate Abdul, Pheno boxing, Ali Drew. It's a lot of nice ones in boxing. I never even heard of Kate Abdul until she went on the Zone. Apparently, she was covering football for years, but I never seen her. Never remember seeing her anyway. What do you think of John Fury saying he'll beat Mike Tyson? You know what John Fury is, right? John Fury's one of them guys where he's so loud that people just look at him and just think, oh, they get intimidated by just the loudness of him. But if you have someone who would just stand up, I wonder how quick it would be. Yeah, I wonder how quick he'd stay like that. My mate ended up at a party at Nelson's on Saturday. I wish I was there. It was supposed to be nuts. Jesus, man. Johnny Nelson running the parties in Sheffield. I'd love to see. I've never been Sheffield. I've never been to the north of the UK. I've only been down the south. I'd love to see what Sheffield is like. I keep hearing stories. People saying Sheffield's real good. But the problem is, it's absolute pain to get to from Ireland because there's no direct flight to Sheffield. I think you have to get a flight to Manchester and drive the rest of the way, which is bollocks. Where was that? Don't think that Billy Joe even got surgery. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it, but I've seen the video he uploaded. I have seen that. Fury versus Rourke. Oh, Jesus. Mickey Rourke's definitely in better shape than John Fury at this stage. But now it's drive from Manchester. Jim, is your girlfriend taller than the world's most boring? Yeah, she is. She's actually quite tall, to be fair. She's about, say, 5'8", 5'9". She's not much smaller than me, man. Fury could gargle diesel. The best comment I ever saw on one of these live streams was someone said John Fury went to a feminist rally and left with his shirt ironed and his lunch mate. That was perfect. I can't remember who wrote that, but whoever wrote that, give yourself a pat on the back. That was perfect. That was literally perfect. I can't remember who the hell wrote that, but that was perfect. He went to a feminist rally and he came back with his lunch made and his shirt ironed. That was perfect. When was the last time a heavyweight champion was dropped by a single body shot from a known pillow puncher? Jesus. That's a good question, actually. I'm trying to think. I can't think of one. I'm sure there has been. Not recently, anyway. That I can think of, anyway. Oh, well, you could technically say, well, Wilder was dropped by a body shot in the Fury rematch, but would you say Fury's a pillow puncher? He's not pillow fisted. I know Wilder was, definitely. But that was more balanced as well, to be fair. Josh Taylor should stay at light welter. Plenty of fights. Zepeda, Barbas, and the Prograis rematch. Yeah. Him against Zepeda be a good fight. Him against Catterall, it's a homecoming fight for Josh Taylor. Catterall's okay. He's decent. She's not that tall, man. She's not that tall. And to be fair, she never wears heels, so thank God for that. She does, to be fair, the odd time, but rarely. What else do we have? Have I seen the video? No, I haven't. I've heard about it all right, but I haven't seen. I haven't looked it up yet. Of Fury didn't he get knocked out? Was it against Henry Akinwande? Didn't he knock John Fury out? There's no footage of that fight though. There's no footage of him against Akinwande. As far as last time I checked, there wasn't any footage of him against Akinwande. Oh, was that the fight? So yeah, I see a few. I see he's managing a few fighters now. I see he's managing a few fighters. I wonder. Dave Allen is just. I find Dave Allen a very interesting case though. He's just so like I don't know. Like I don't understand the whole concept of this comeback and what he's intended to achieve from it. It's a strange one. It's a strange one. I don't get the concept of him coming back because what is he going to do? Like what's he going to prove? And if you look at him at domestic level, I mean, imagine putting him in there against Dubois. How good would that go? I mean, he would get absolutely battered to bits against someone like Daniel Dubois. Porky's Corner uploaded. Oh, did he? I see. I'm not even subscribed to Porky's Corner. I'll have to have a look at that, but I never seen that. And I seen that Akinwande was no mug. No, he definitely didn't do himself any favors against Lennox Lewis, but he definitely wasn't a mug. Was Henry Akinwande? He was useful Akinwande. I remember he fought. Who did he fight? Oh, it was on the undercard of Tyson and Holyfield. Who did he fight? And he busted like that. That had brutal fights on it. It was Akinwande, wasn't it? In fact, I'm pretty sure it was. Hang on a sec. I'm pretty sure it was. And he busted the guy's nose up real bad. And there was also that horrible fight against what's the guy's name? Bota versus Moore. That was a brutal fight. Have you ever seen that fight? Bota got the absolute crap beaten out of him by Michael Moore. If that fight had happened today, that would have been stopped way, way earlier. Who did Akinwande fight on the undercard of Holyfield Tyson? I have it there. Oh, Zokin, Alexander Zokin, and his nose was bleeding like a fountain. Oh my God, that was bad. I mean, that card had some absolute Hail Mary fights on it, so it did. That was actually a good little card. And that was Don King. Lads and lassies, look who we have in the chat. Yes. Shout out to Chris Andre. Big up to my man, Chris Andre. My opinion, best on YouTube. In my opinion, best breakdown, best analysts. I'll hold you up to that sandwich, though. One of these days, when you hit like 4 or 5K, you're making that sandwich. You're doing a commentary on it. You definitely are. I'll hold you up to that. But shout out to Chris Andre. I know you all have. But if you haven't, go and subscribe. In fact, I'm actually going to go and put a link to his channel right here in the chat. Because if you've not subscribed to Chris Andre, I don't know. I think me and you are both in agreement. Because I was watching Chris's video yesterday about Devin Haney. And me and him are both in agreement that your perception of Haney, if you see him as the best in the division, then no, that wasn't exactly a great performance against Linares. But if you see him as still kind of a work in progress, it was fine. Honestly, it was a fine performance. There you go. I know you all have, but if you haven't, there's a link to Chris's channel. Personally, I think he needs to get an arm around Dave Allen, stop him fighting again. It's this sort of thing that leads to fighters getting neurological issues long term. I hope he doesn't, Chris. I really do. I hope he doesn't. But I don't understand the concept. Dave Allen's always been someone who struck me as very just his whole demeanor. Like if you hear him in interviews, even prior to him retiring, the way he lives is very bizarre. Like he says that when he's not fighting, it's not uncommon for him to sleep until mid-afternoon, wait till about 6 o'clock, and eat himself into oblivion until 1, 2 in the morning. I just that to me is like there's something amiss there. And I just wonder, I don't want to see the guy get hurt. I really don't. And we saw that we saw Cash Ali fight the weekend. The uppercut was doing well for him. I don't want to see the guy get hurt. You know, he's already starting to kind of sound a little bit off there in terms of the speech. He says that he's not going to take fights on short notice because he's done it for financial reasons. But even still, like, I mean, even the fights that he had sufficient notice for, like against David Price, he still took bad beatings. I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see it, man. Will you watch Mayweather this weekend? I'm not, man. I honestly couldn't care less. I might watch it the next day, but I couldn't care less. I really couldn't. Big up to Mike. Shout out to G Man. Big up. And lads, if you could, by the way, if you could hit the like, I'd appreciate that. Doesn't cost anything. And big up to Joe, giving Chris the props he deserves. Same with Karma. Big up to Karma Serene every time. Shout out to you, sis. Big up. Usually working when G Man is doing the lives. It's nice to, man. It's nice to have you in. Big up to you, man. Every time. No, we got to big up Chris. Honestly, one of the best on here and an all-around great guy. Absolute gentleman. Mick Hennessy's, I reckon we'll see him on some of them shows. I don't think he's working with Eddie Hearn at all. He's not alluded to Eddie Hearn at all. He said he's doing it independently with some independent promoter. So we'll need to see. Maybe Chris could get onto his best buddy, Steve Goodwin, your BFF. Maybe put in a good word with him. Get Dave Allen on. Alan's comeback is so he can show off his new bird and beat up some journeyman. Yeah, to be honest with you though, Dave Allen having a bird, that could do him the world of good. Maybe if she sees him in a spot of bother, she might be able to say, rein it in, Dave, or something like that. That might do him the world of good. It really does. The amount of people I've seen who've been going down bad paths, really bad paths, who they've met just the right person, and they've completely done a 180. Like, I've seen that several times where they've just done a 180. They've met their girlfriend, they've been like, no, done a 180. So that might help Dave Allen. But I don't want. If he wanted to beat a couple of journeymen, then call it a day, fine. But if he's thinking about going in there against guys like Dubois and stuff like that, oh boy, no. Allen was commentating on one of the Fight Zone cars, and his speech seems a little slurred. Yeah, like I definitely think that they say neurological tests they do with the board, but as far as I'm concerned, should we not judge someone based upon their speech? If you think about it, though, if you think about it like this, right? Never mind the neurological tests. If you have someone in front of you and you can clearly tell that they are slurring a bit, and you have footage of them 4 years ago speaking clearly, and you can clearly tell this person's slurring, for me, that should be enough to say, no, you're not fighting. How come you were talking like that there and now you're talking like this now? For me, you shouldn't even need a test. That should be enough to say, no, you're not fighting. This is only going to go one way, and it could lead to something a lot worse. So for me, that if I was in charge of boxing, which I'm obviously not, that would be me. That would be something that we'd have to do. And I would make sure to have an interview and be like, well, this is you 2016. You sound clear there. This is you now. There's a big difference. And no, that's enough. So never mind the brain scan. The eye test is enough. That's what I do. You would also do tests as well. Got introduced to G-Man through Hatman and Chris. Legends. They are indeed. He did badly damage his tongue, to be fair, but I do think a lot of it is neurological. I mean, you can't tell me that the shots he took against David Price, Luis Ortiz, Tony Oka, that fight was painful to watch. You can't tell me that didn't have an effect on it. And this is heavyweight boxing at the end of the day. It's one thing taking beatings, and it's a bad thing. In some ways, it's not a good thing to have a good chin at heavyweight, because you're more likely to get, more damaged. He was finished against Yoka. He was. Alan allegedly spat his tongue. Wow. Ugh. That was bad, actually, again. That took weeks to recover. Lads and lasses, I've been going for a little over an hour. Got my feet back in with this live stream. G-Man was the first channel that got me into the YTBC. Yes, big up. And still, and from what I've seen, he's still one of my favorite channels. Says it how it is. Respect that. Appreciate that, kid. I think the first channel I ever watched, and listen, first YouTube channel I ever watched was Hatman back in 2014. And for about 2 years, he was the only I never watched a lot of YouTubers back in the day, boxing YouTubers. He was the only one I watched. Now I watch a lot. You got guys like Chris, Dell, Mark, great guys. But yeah, no, appreciate that, man. For now, lads and lasses, I'm going to call it here. Got to big up a lot of you guys. Got to big up Joe, Mr. S, Randy. Got to big up Limo every time. Ryder Camel, me and him, both Ainsley Harriet fans, definitely. Graham Taylor, if I haven't seen you already, apologies. Big up the karma every time. Big up to you. Where's Chris? Timmy Nealon, shout out. Obviously, got to big up Chris Andre as well. Obviously, there's a link to his channel. Go over there, give him a sub. But it's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure, lads and lassies. For now, I'll leave you. Happy Monday. Wishing you all the best for the week ahead. I'm going to finish up here to go and start talking more, do some recording, talk for an hour and a bit just to go and do some more. But that's the life we choose. For now, lads and lassies, appreciate you having you here. I'll talk to you. God bless.